Muslim is a terrorist. I do everything in my power.
There's a tremendous hatred there.
Confirmed and deepened my negative feelings about Islam.
The Taliban regime says it will put the British journalist Yvonne Ridley on trial for entering the country illegally.
Well, many people turned to religion to help them cope in the days after the 9/11 attacks, and some even chose new faiths, including Islam.
And when you study Islam, even when Islam is taught to you by somebody who hates Islam, as long as they don't corrupt it too far, you can still see the truth in Islam. When people see the truth of Islam, it can change them if they want to be guided. If they want the truth, it can change them.
Captured by the Taliban, gave them an undertaking that I would study the Quran if they released me. I kept my word, read the Quran, read it again, read supporting literature, couldn't believe what I was reading because the Quran makes it perfectly clear, crystal clear, that women are equal in spirituality, worth and education. And as a feminist, I found this quite breathtaking.
As long as they don't corrupt it too far, you can still see the truth in Islam. See the truth of Islam, it can change them if they want to be guided. If they want the truth, it can change them.
Off his shoes, he looks at me and he smiles. "You to teach me about Islam." So he went and he gave me a Quran. "Read this. Come back when you have questions." So I did. And I would see things in the book. I'd be like, "There it is. I got them right there. Explain that to me." And they would. This was a kind of awakening. Long story short, 8 weeks after that first day I stepped into the Islamic Center, I became a Muslim. I'm a Muslim, a veteran, and a proud American. I had learned that I was completely wrong about everything that I felt. You know, Judaism had a message, Christianity had a message, Islam had a message. Funny thing is, though, it was the same message. It was about peace, and it was about love. My big thing is now to stop the hate. Nothing good has ever come out of hatred. I've done too many things. I've hurt a lot of people. I have to live with that. But if I can stop somebody else on the path of non-forgiveness, I won.
It happened to be the night of the Paris attacks. I looked over at the mosque. Between my property's right next door. I decided I was going to fire some shots off. Emptied the magazine into what I thought was very, very close to the mosque.
The purpose of Islam is what? To connect a man to God. That's number one. And number two is, as a human being, you should be useful to others.
This is Germany. People don't get fired for their religious or political beliefs. Agner family crest, a member of the AfD, and his new religion.
I'm now a really happy guy because
now you found Islam. What are you searching for?
Today changed the whole world, and I must to find the solution. How can we walk the European conservative and Islam? This is my target.
In our society come not from Islam, that come from the left, people which do not trust in God. They would like to turn around. This is like ideology, Islamic ideology. I hate it.
Daarnaast blijkt uit onderzoek dat antisemitisme en homofoob geweld welig tieren onder Marokkanen. De legitimatie voor deze ellende, de islam.
Verzoekt de regering haar angstige en politiek correcte houding ten aanzien van de islam te laten varen en de negatieve invloed van deze kwaadaardige ideologie die moet worden tegengegaan, verzoekt de regering de islam zoveel mogelijk uit Nederland te bannen en gaat over tot de orde van de dag.
That was me back then. This is me now. I'm no longer a member of the far right. Ironically, the thing that made me join the far pillars. For years, I gave everything I had to fight against Islam. I tried to make legislation to shut down all Islamic schools in the Netherlands. I attempted to close all mosques, ban the Quran and ban Islam altogether from the Netherlands. As a Dutch politician, I opposed Islam in every way possible. Then, in 2017, I left Parliament and finally had the time to fulfill a long-held desire to write an anti-Islam book. I wanted a book that would provide conclusive theoretical groundings for all of the objections I held against Islam as a politician. My book would settle the dispute about Islam with a clear conclusion. Islam is a danger to Europe, to America, to the West and actually to the whole wide world. Before writing my book, my view about Islam was influenced by the conservative Protestant environment of my upbringing, in which other religions, and certainly Islam, was definitely seen as wayward and wrong. I was also influenced by the cultural opinions. Remarkably, my studies at the university actually began on September 11, 2001. Many horrors would sadly follow, inside and outside of Europe. From the murder of columnist Theo van Gogh to kidnappings, anti-Semitic terror and beheadings, to haphazard stabs, truck attacks and suicide attacks, to the proclamation of the caliphate by ISIS. There were even Muslims from the Netherlands who traveled as jihadists to Syria. These events confirmed and deepened my negative feelings about Islam and motivated me to join Wilders' party. I believed that Islam should be fought wherever possible. But as I began writing my book, I came across information that was at odds with the ideas I had. I learned that many of my ideas about Islam, stated by Orientalists, far-right Westerners, and even Islamic extremists, had little or no basis in historical Islam. My research often presented me with context and interpretations that were very different from those I had propagated for years in politics. A more nuanced image of Islam slowly developed in my mind. Seeking more information, I wrote to various academic authorities on Islam, including Professor Abdul Hakim Murad of Cambridge University. He pointed out various scholars, books and facts and advised me to read again and more deeply this time. One by one, my objections to Islam vanished. Islam was no longer a religion that promoted violence, hatred and anti-Semitism, or a religion that categorized women and non-believers as inferior humans and stridently opposed democracy. Slowly, my perspective of Islam was changing. I also received surprisingly satisfying
Dit is officieel. Ja, als je gelooft dat er één God is en je gelooft dat Mohammed één van de profeten is, dus naast Jezus, Mozes, etc., dan ben je formeel een moslim.
The Holy Quran is the verbatim word of God that was transmitted to the Prophet Muhammad. Like myself, a Roman Catholic priest, a Franciscan friar, to understand better what's at the core of the Islamic faith. I can't recommend this highly enough. Sadly, those who tend to grab the news headlines because of those engaged with the ISIS group and Al-Qaeda and other terrorists, they practice something that is not at all supported by the Holy Quran. It is not reflective of the Islamic faith, of the Muslim faith, and try to understand the richness and the peace, the justice, the depth, the metaphysics, the world view, the understanding of God, their own respect for the faiths of Judaism and Christianity, what they call the religions of the book. All these things are, deeper and richer and fuller than the violence and the discrimination that exists in our world would lead us to believe.
And when you study Islam, even when Islam is taught to you by somebody who hates Islam, as long as they don't corrupt it too far, you can still see the truth in Islam. You'll see the truth of Islam. It can change them if they want to be guided. If they want the truth.
I was searching for something, and it came in a time in my life where it's what I needed, and just the best sportsman that I can be, but the best man, husband and father that I can be. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but becoming a Muslim.
Screaming at me, "What are you doing? Stop kissing the floor!" We are Catholic, like generations of Catholic. But at the age of 13, I left the Catholic Church. I didn't understand. I would go to the priest and I said, "Why can't nuns get married? Why can't you get married? It's natural." And they said, "You're being insolent." So I just had it, and I started going to different denominations. I was a Pentecostal, I was a born-again Christian, I was a Jehovah's Witness, I was a Christian Scientist. Literally, I was just looking. At 13, I was looking for something that was missing in my life. At the age of 17, I went to the University of San Francisco, and I met an American lady with a scarf. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Why do you say that?" And I said, "I know about Islam." She said, "What do you know?" And I said, "I see them hitting themselves and the blood going." And she said, "No, that's not Islam." She gave me books, she gave me cassettes, and I was shocked. I never realized how beautiful the religion was. So at that moment, I knew it. So I went back to my American friend, Miriam, and I said, "I want to be a Muslim." And then she said, read more about it. So I read Surah to Miriam, and that was it. I just knew if women had such a high degree in Islam, I wanted to be part of that. I could see that Islam has made me a better person, gave me more patience, I'm more sympathetic, I have more empathy for people. Materialistic things aren't that important anymore. I didn't have any concerns when I became a Muslim because I did my research. I had gone to so many other religions and I saw all the holes and it just wasn't complete. So when I came to Islam, I did my research. I did my reading and asking questions, and anyone who would answer me was very helpful. The only concern I had was my parents accepting me. That was hard. I mean, those are your parents. Those are the ones who raised you, and they felt like they did something wrong for me to go in a different path. But once they started seeing that I'm a better person, they embraced me. They loved it. They wanted to know about it. That was the most exciting. My mother asked me for the Quran in Spanish. My mom wanted to pray. She wanted to sit there and watch me pray. And she told me, "It's so peaceful, it's so beautiful." And when I put the call for prayer, she said she had goosebumps.
There are a lot of points, but not the least of which we were brought up to believe that the second commandment was just as important as the first commandment. The first commandment in the Bible, in Exodus, is the same as the first commandment in the book of Deuteronomy. It says, "I am the Lord your God that brought you out of the land of Egypt in the house of bondage. You know no other God beside me. Beside me there's no other gods. Thou shalt not have any other gods beside me." The second commandment you have clearly says, "Thou shalt not make any idol, any graven image of anything that creeps upon the earth, swims in the sea beneath, or flies in the air above." When Jesus is talking to his own companions and they ask him, what's the greatest commandment? Mark 12:29. Clear. The greatest commandment is to know, O Israel, the Lord your God is one God. And you have to love him with all your heart, and all your mind, and all your strength. And this is no different from what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was saying the same thing to his people. Same thing I mentioned in the lecture. This is certainly for us the same. So what you see is Muslims practicing the commandments, and you see people claiming the commandments but practicing something else.
And then when I started reading, and I read just chapter 2 alone of the Quran, I realized, oh my God, I'm home. I've been a Muslim all my life and I didn't realize it. It's a way of thinking, Islam. A Muslim is only a person who believes that nothing in the universe should be worshipped except God.
On the facts that your friends overlook, so always be proud. You can never be wrong if we read the Quran, cause it's never been changed since day one. Others may brag, say that we lag, but they don't know all the power we have.
And from the
I fell on my
Catholic
knees
Church
before
than any
Allah
other of
Almighty.
the many sects of
It was a
Christianity,
glorious
and
experience
especially from the nuns,
as a new Muslim
priests,
to be
and
able to
even an
worship God in
archbishop.
truth
And
and
all of
honesty.
them are better than me.
If they would please pray for me. I want to be a good Muslim. I want to be a good example of Islam.
Guys and
I
women
want
that
to
I
know
see
more.
do
I
this,
want to know
they
more.
still
I want to know
sacrifice
more
their
about
whole life to get the true
Hadith.
message of
I
Islam.
want to know more about Quran. I have a hunger for learning.
There's nothing to fear of Muslims. We are all Americans together.
George Bernard Shaw, for instance, is one of many, a long list of people who read this and realized the truth of Islam. When people see the truth of Islam, it can change them if they want to be guided. If they want the truth, it can change them. Of one of the first Qurans ever translated to English by George Sale. George Sale hated Islam, he hated the Muslims, but when he translated the Quran to English, he was true to the text of the words. Although maybe not getting all the meaning, he certainly was true to the text of the words. I was shocked when I read it. Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about? Amazing. The greatest commandment is to know, O Israel, the Lord your God is one God. And you have to love him with all your heart, and all your mind, and all your strength. And this is no different from what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was saying the same thing to his people. Same thing I mentioned in the lecture. This is certainly for us the same. So what you see is Muslims practicing the commandments, and you see people claiming the commandments but practicing something else. And I have seen more converts from the Catholic Church than any other of the many sects of Christianity, and especially from the nuns, priests, and even an archbishop. And all of them are better than me. Those guys and women that I see do this, they still sacrifice their whole life to get the true message of Islam, not only to you, but to Muslims as well, because we all know.
One of the things I loved and still love about Islam is that the relationship with God is direct. to me and my Creator. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most merciful, the most forgiving, all-powerful, unimaginable Creator, unlike anything created.